What's up? This is Katie Cleaver here with the Unofficial NCLEX podcast. Thank you for joining me. This is episode 66, and the title of this episode is Identify Needs and Situations Where Reporting of Incidents, Events, or Irregular Occurrences or Variances is Appropriate. Blah, blah, blah. That was a mouthful. So basically, incident reports, essentially, is the general term, I guess, but that also can include events or irregular occurrences or variances. So it doesn't have to be an actual incident, but something that happened that wasn't according to plan, I guess. So it's important that, let me just discuss why it's important first as nurses to do that. Not everything will always go perfectly. We've got to figure out when things go wrong, why they went wrong. We have to figure out if there is a problem with a protocol, a problem with a process that we need to address from a system level, that it's not just human error and someone messed up for no reason. Like, what happened? Like, were they too rushed? Were there safety things that could have been in place? Were there safety things that were in place, but they're not realistic to use? Those are really important things to keep in mind and keep track of, so we know how to fix problems to avoid them in the future. So, point number 1, acknowledge and document practice error per policy. So, typically your hospital that you're at is going to have a very specific protocol with how you do it. If you had a medication error, probably have to fill out your incident report, follow the policy, notify the physician, those kinds of things. So it's important that we acknowledge and document it appropriately and report it. And it sounds very general, because I think NCLEX wise, it has to be very general because this is very different at different hospitals. I've seen 4 or 5 different kinds of reporting systems. The latest one I've seen was probably the most user-friendly, but man, incident reporting is kind of a headache, but it's very essential. Lots of little pieces of information are necessary, but we really have to make sure things are addressed appropriately. And we also have to evaluate the response to the error or the event or the occurrence. We want to make sure the patient is okay, any short-term, long-term issues, and really evaluate, does this process need to change to prevent this from occurring in the future? Or was it truly a freak thing where our processes are fine, but this happened? But that's so rare, honestly. Typically, there is something we can pinpoint that we can improve upon. Education can be provided. So, it's important to promote reporting this, and it's important too to realize that it's not, while maybe sometimes people have screwed up and they may face some disciplinary action, but that's not the purpose of this. The purpose of incident reporting is to see, okay, this blank happened, but why did it happen? And the focus is not to discipline someone. The focus is to evaluate the process, and we came to this situation, but how did we get there? So this is not okay, let me quantify what this person did so I know how to discipline them. This is more so focused on the process. So keep that in mind. So we need to identify those situations, things like needle sticks, accidental needle sticks, medication errors, delays in patient care, things where maybe a patient went to a wrong unit, or a physician, cut off the wrong leg, or, like those kinds of things. Try and keep it in your mind of, something that did not go according to plan, essentially. So that's a way to kind of keep that in your mind. And hospitals and policies and procedures will reflect very specific things that they want you to report. And it's one of those things in real life, if you're in doubt, ask your one-up. Ask your charge nurse, ask your assistant manager, your manager, hey, this happened. Do I need to put in an incident report? So it's really important to make sure you do that, so that your hospital or facility can really keep track and make the improvements where they need to be to prevent it from happening in the future. So that concludes episode 66, Identify Needs and Situations Where the Reporting of Incidents, Events, Irregular Occurrences, or Variances is Appropriate.
This has been another episode of the Unofficial NCLEX Prep Podcast. To get the massive PDF guide that goes along with this podcast, head over to nrsng.com/NCLEX-prep. That's nrsng.com/NCLEX-prep. That's a free download that you can take with you anywhere, and you can basically have this podcast in text format. Our goal here at NRSNG.com is to give you the tools and the confidence that you need to succeed in nursing school, on the NCLEX, and in your life as a nurse. We want you to succeed, and we want you to become part of this movement of nurses that is dedicated and motivated to learning and becoming the best nurse that they can possibly be. My name is John Haas, RN CCRN, and I'm the founder of NRSNG.com, and I sincerely thank you for being here, and I'm so proud of you for taking this step in your journey. Now you know what time it is now. It's time to go out and be your best self today. Happy nursing.